إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله عز وجل في القرآن المجيد: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. صدق الله العظيم. أما بعد. We begin by praising Allah and sending peace and blessings upon His servant and messenger Muhammad, who has been sent for our guidance and the guidance of all people until the end of time. Respected brothers and sisters, Facebook has over 1 billion users, active users. In fact, 1.23 billion monthly active users to be precise. And because there are so many people utilizing social media and services like Facebook, Professor Margaret Duffy this year from the University of Missouri decided to conduct research on how Facebook and other social media can actually affect the mental health of individuals. How does Facebook and other social media affect the actual mental health of people? And interestingly, she found, along with her team of researchers, that social media can actually lead to depression in several people. How, you might ask? Well, they say if you use Facebook, for example, or any other service, just to connect with family and connect with friends and just have a chat or a conversation, this is a healthy usage of the service. And you're not going to encounter any of these problems. But the problem arises when people start to see other people's posts and their financial success is revealed, or their relationship or family successes are revealed. And what ends up happening is they start looking into their own lives and they see failure. Because think about this. When you're going to post something on social media, most likely you're going to post something that's positive or negative. In your own life, you're going to post something that's positive that happened to you. So you're not necessarily going to post that, you know what, I just ate at this restaurant and it was just a normal casual meal. You're not going to post that. But if you go to a really fancy restaurant, or you get some brand new phone, or you get a brand new car or something, most people, they want to put something out there for self-promotion so that you get a bunch of likes. So what ends up happening is because people are constantly posting positive things about themselves, it looks like their lives are all positive and everything's going great. And what ends up happening now is that you go and you look at this person and you say everything's going great in their life. They're eating at fancy restaurants. Their relationship is good. And look where they went today. And look at this vacation that they just took. And everything's going great. And they start comparing it to their own life. You say, my life is miserable. Everyone out there is happy. Everyone's enjoying. And what ends up happening is this envy sets in. And people start wishing that they had the things that the other people have. So when they post, we ate at this, really nice restaurant down in downtown LA or whatever it may be, then all of a sudden people say, you know what? I wish I could go and eat at that restaurant. Or I wish my husband would take me to that fancy place, but he doesn't take me. And they will just focus on those things. It's, I wish, my wife could be such and such thing. Or I wish that, you just got a raise at your company. I wish I could get promoted at my company. So what ends up happening is this envy that people have because of positive postings on Facebook and other social media, it actually leads them to a state of depression. It leads them to depression. And this is the sad thing. And this is something that has to do with you comparing your lives with other people, and then you think that they're better off than you, and then you wish that you had what they had, and then you end up becoming sad. The Prophet ﷺ warned us about this, and he told us, "La tabaghadu," said, do not hate one another. وَلَا تَحَاسَدُوا, and do not be envious of one another. وَلَا تَدَابَرُوا, and do not turn your backs to one another, meaning don't stop talking to each other. وَكُونُوا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ إِخْوَانًا, but be servants of Allah as brothers and as sisters. This is the way we should be. And He gave us this advice: don't start hating other people. Don't start envying each other. Don't start, not wanting to talk to other people. These are things which will happen, but you're all servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we want to talk about this concept of envy. What's known in Arabic as hasad. Hasad means, or envy means, the worst way of looking at it is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives His blessings to somebody. And then you come along and you don't want that blessing to be on that specific person. But instead you wish that blessing was taken away from the person and was given to you instead. So somebody comes with a brand new Mercedes, let's say, take any car. And you wish that you had the exact same car, and you wish that it was taken away from that person and given to you instead, because all the people are getting, he's getting compliments from the people, and you wish you had the exact same thing and the same reputation and the same status as that person, and it was taken away from them on top of that. And this is very similar to what happened in history when the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. The envy arose in the heart of the Jews that were living in Medina and around Medina, because they wished that the message had come to them, and they expected that the message was supposed to come to them among their line. And they were envious that it had come to the people or their cousins, the Arabs, instead. So therefore many of them rejected the message. They rejected the message that came from Allah, from their Creator, even though they had in their books mention about the Prophet coming. Why? For what reason? Because of envy in their hearts. They wish that the message was not given to the Arabs, and it was given specifically to them, and they wish that they did not have it, that they would have the Prophet from amongst themselves. This is envy, and it's the worst form of envy. It's the worst form of hasad that anyone can get into. And there are more minor forms of envy that people have when you become jealous of someone and you wish you had what they had, and you say, I don't necessarily want it taken away from you, but I want exactly what you have. And every time you get something else, I wish I have the exact same thing. And this is the danger that people fall into. So let us reflect for a moment about what are the underlying causes of hasad. What leads us? We all have, we all get afflicted by this at some point in time. What are the underlying causes which lead people to become envious of others? And how can we reverse this process? And how can we protect ourselves from falling prey to this danger, this disease of the heart? So Imam al-Ghazali mentions 4 causes. He said the first cause is enmity. When you hate somebody, that hatred that you have for someone, let's imagine this person, you consider them your enemy and you hate them. So you do not want any good to come to that person. And any time a blessing comes to that person, it pains you inside. You hurt when that person that you don't like, that person that you hate, is getting those good things happening to them. And there's a simple solution to that. It's exactly what the Prophet ﷺ said. He said, do not hate one another. Why hate somebody for the person? You can hate their actions. You can hate the things that they may be doing, and you can try to get them to stop those things. But to hate the person themselves such that you're killing yourself over the fact that they would get some blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they might get some wealth, that they might get some luxury, or they might get something like that, it's only going to end up hurting you in the long run. So hatred and enmity about other people is something which leads to envy. So remove that hatred. Just get rid of that hatred and hate the actions that people are doing, but not necessarily the individuals themselves. The second is pride and arrogance. When someone has pride, they start to think that they're better than the other person. So if you think that you're better than somebody else, then you think that you should have gotten the blessings instead of that person. Why did Allah give it to him? Why did Allah give that person the raise? Why did Allah give that person the wealth and the luxury? I should have it instead. I'm better than that person. And these are the thoughts that ring through our minds, the whispers that ring through our minds. And one of the things we need to keep in mind is that pride and arrogance is what can take a person who may have a lofty status and it can bring them down to the lowest of the low. They should humble themselves. We must humble ourselves so that we do not get puffed up with pride. The same way that Iblis, who became the shaitan, the Satan, was lowered and dejected because of his arrogance that he had. Number 3 is the fear of failure. Is that oftentimes people are afraid of failing. So what happens is you and your co-worker are both working hard, and you're afraid that the other person's going to get the promotion. You and your friend at school are working really, really hard, and you're afraid that that person is going to get the number 1 spot in the class. And you want to make sure that it's you who gets the promotion. But you're not content with the fact that if you did a good job, if you did your best, and maybe the teacher or your boss didn't recognize it, it doesn't matter. As long as you actually put the effort in, you don't need to feel like you're a failure. You don't need to feel bad, because not everyone who gets a promotion at work gets promoted for the right reasons. Not everyone is because of their job performance. It may be because, you know what, they spend some extra time talking about ball games and sports and other things with their boss. And that's why they get promoted. So you shouldn't feel bad or feel like you've done something wrong or feel like a failure. And the same thing happens to students. So do not allow that to be a cause of envy that you have for somebody else who got that blessing in this life. And lastly, the 4th cause of envy is greed. When people are greedy, they may be greedy for having status. They may be greedy for having beauty. They may be greedy for having wealth and luxuries and physical possessions. When all of these things, when you start having this greed, you wish you had everything, you start expressing wonder and saying, I can't believe this other person got it, because you actually wanted it for yourself. You wish that you could acquire each and every single thing. And the problem with greed is that it shows deep down inside the heart of the person, they are not content with how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has distributed His blessings in this world. Allah has given some people beauty, and He's given other people wealth, and the person who has beauty may not have wealth, and vice versa. And He's given other people certain other things like status and respect and honor. He's given some people peace of mind. He's given some people easy circumstances in life and other people difficult circumstances. But all of these things balance themselves out into the person, and it becomes an individual test for that specific person. And that's why we need to remember that there's some medicine to help us cure the envy that we have inside our hearts in case we have it right now. And among the medicines are 3. The first is to know that when you're envying somebody else or even a group of people, it's actually harming you. By envying them, by wanting what they have and hoping that it goes away from them, you're actually harming yourself in this world by you becoming depressed, becoming sad, and it also harms you in the hereafter. It harms you in the akhirah because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited this for you. So you have to realize, not only does it harm you, but the person that you're envying is not affected or harmed by your state of mind. The fact that you're going crazy, I can't believe he got that. That's not fair. Why did they have to get it? That thought in your mind does not harm the person at all. It doesn't change anything for them. Primarily, who gets harmed? You yourself are the one who's being harmed. So if you realize that, you'll say, why am I wasting my time? Why am I killing myself over something that I wish the other person didn't have and I had it instead? I'm just messing myself up even more. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that the envied person usually ends up benefiting. So even the person, let's say you don't like, and you just can't get this dislike out of your heart. Even when you start envying them, what usually ends up happening is it leads you to backbite them. And when you start talking bad about them, what ends up happening? They get a reward. You take on their sins, and when you run out, you start taking your good deeds from you. So they're actually benefiting. You get anxiety while you're envying somebody else, and they're getting your good deeds, or you're taking on their sins. So you're benefiting them, and you're harming yourself. Now how foolish would that be, especially if you were justified in not liking that person? You would stop that immediately. And the third thing is to realize that envy will not actually help you to acquire anything. So your goal is that you wish that you had what that person had. But the fact that you have hasad, you have envy in your heart, it doesn't actually help you to get that thing. Instead, if you wanted that thing, you go work for it. You go spend your time in a pursuit, you go focus, you go research, you go talk to people, you go do some business, whatever it is. That would actually help you to acquire that thing perhaps, if Allah allows for it. But not you sitting there staring at the person and thinking, oh, I wish he didn't have that, I wish I had it instead. That's not going to bring it towards you. Nor is it going to take it away from the person who has it. So you're actually not achieving anything by having this type of envy. So the practical medicine that we should apply and the thing that we should understand is that you do the opposite of whatever the cause of the envy is. So if you, for example, if you start envying someone, you hate someone, and you start realizing, I should not do this. I need to stop. I need to get out of this state of mind. What do? Do the opposite. Start, instead of mentioning the person's faults and how bad they are and thinking about how they don't deserve it and all of that, focus on the good in that person. Just to correct yourself, bring yourself back into a balance. No, you know what? The person got the promotion. They actually have some good strengths that I don't have. You know what? They may not be as hardworking as me, but at the same time, they're kind and caring and they're courteous. You can always find something to counteract that hatred or that ill will or that feeling that you have inside of yourself. And remember again that the Prophet ﷺ said, do not hate one another, do not envy one another, do not turn your backs on one another. But what we need to be is be servants of Allah as brothers and sisters, and this is the way we should interact. You would not envy your own brother. You would not envy your own father. You would not envy your own mother. You do not envy your own family members. And that exactly is what other people are to you. They're brothers and sisters. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove envy from our hearts and to protect our hearts from ever allowing these diseases to come inside them. Ameen. Astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa li sa'iril muslimin fastaghfiruhu innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. And please fill in the gaps, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, wa ba'an. So we talked today about the dangers of envy and particularly how people can actually become envious of others when they're on social media and they see all the good things happening to them. So be careful and be on guard. And also teach your children and teach other people that you have to be an intelligent and a wise Facebook user or consumer of social media so that you do not get affected by these spiritual ailments which many people get afflicted by, even according to modern day research. The last thing is, there's an announcement which I was asked to make, and this is very important, is that, you know, we find that people's morals, especially in today's world that we live in, they seem to be declining, and people think that they can get away with doing this or doing that, and it happens everywhere. It happens everywhere, and there's certain courtesies and amanas, responsibilities and trusts that we must, as Muslims, we must make sure that we do not fall into doing these type of things. So one of the things is, imagine if someone were to go and scratch your car or hit your car. And what happens is you do a little tap, and then what do? Immediately you start panicking and you say, oh no, what should I do? Should I leave a note? Should I wait for the owner? Should I go do something? Or should I just drive away pretending like it didn't happen? They're not going to catch me. Because the police not going to catch you for a little tiny thing. And this is a responsibility. You drive away and you hit someone, wherever it may be, and you find that you have damaged somebody else's vehicle, and you just left, and you didn't fulfill your responsibility. It's a trust that you make sure to leave a note, or you make sure to wait for the person so you can pay for their damage and pay for their repair. And unfortunately, this happens even in the masjid parking lot. And this is something that should never be, it shouldn't be happening anywhere, but especially should not be happening in the masjid parking lot. Because two things. Number one, the people who come here, they come here to get reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we come for prayer. We're trying to connect with Allah. How can we do that and at the same time do something which is forbidden by Allah, something which is haram and prohibited, that you go and do something like this? So Sheikh Muhammad Faqih, the Sheikh of this masjid, just in this parking lot, his car has been hit, his different cars have been hit 5 times, hit and run, since he's been imam in this masjid. 5 times. And twice he went, we have cameras by the way, so twice he went and saw the person on the camera, but he's too shy of a person to go and confront them. And he was just hoping and waiting that maybe they would come and, do this. And it just happened to him again last week. The 5th time was last week. So subhanAllah, this is something that, how can somebody do something like this? The president of this masjid has been hit 2 times. So at least 7 that I know of, just from 2 people who are, the leaders in this organization. And they're all 7 hit and runs, dent and runs, whatever you want to call them. And the person doesn't even bother to, leave a note. Maybe, the first 2 times he thought, maybe the person was driving those big cars and just backed in, didn't even realize what's going on. Maybe the Quran was on too loud and they couldn't hear what was happening. But at the same time, you should be perceptive about, if you hit someone, usually you can kind of hear it. Right? So we need to be careful about this. We need to be careful about everyone's amana. This is a trust that other people have. Even if you have like a rough jacket on, you don't go up to someone else's car and just lean on it and just start sitting there and start having a conversation and rubbing it. On one of those high-class luxury cars, it'll even scratch the paint. It'll mess up the finish of it. So be very careful about these things. These are not small things. These are major things because you're messing up somebody else's property. So this is something that we need to understand ourselves. And number 2, we need to make sure we teach our children the same thing. Because parents have a responsibility over their children. Just like, we talk about, how many people die, how many children die of dog bites in this country? Attacks from dogs. Thousands of children every year die from dog attacks and animal attacks. Because the owners, it's okay, you don't need to, keep him on a leash. He's such a friendly guy. And then all of a sudden the dog goes and attacks someone and he gets killed. Who's responsible in Islamic law? The responsibility is on the owner. Because the owner did not do something. Likewise, children are not animals, but your children are your responsibility. You can't put them on a leash, but you need to make sure to teach them proper etiquette. Make sure that they do not go and transgress and start, going on other people's property. Make sure they're not going and throwing something. Make sure they're not jumping on other people's cars or something like that. So just be very careful about all of this. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us and guide us at all times. We ask Allah, oh Allah, cure all the diseases and illnesses that are in our hearts. Oh Allah, make us among the people who have the best character, the best akhlaq. Make us among the people who have the best manners and deal with other people in the best of ways that please you. Oh Allah, help us and guide us at all times and in all things we do. Allow us to live as Muslims and allow us to die in a true state of iman. Ameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Few more quick announcements. Friday family night tonight, Tafsir Surah Mulk with Sheikh Muhammad Faqih. The IIOC annual fundraiser is going to be on June 13th. Tickets are outside or you could buy them from the office. Everyone should really attend that. Our annual fundraiser just once a year. Saturday family night is going to be in Arabic tomorrow inshallah at 7:30. And a very important event tomorrow evening, 3:30 p.m. for sisters only. So I hope the sisters are paying very good attention here. There's going to be a specific town hall for sisters only where we want to hear from the sisters that what are your concerns? What are your ideas about women's programming here at IIOC? Sometimes we hear from people say women don't get enough time, women don't get enough involvement, women don't get enough access to speak to the sheikh, women don't get this. This is your opportunity. We want to hear from you. Sheikh Muhammad, myself, and Sister Noha al-Shughairi are going to be leading this town hall. We want to hear everything, and I guarantee you we will act upon what needs to be done. But we need to know exactly what your real feelings are and what you really think about our services and the masjid and everything. So tell all the sisters you know, they need to be there tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. right here in the multi-purpose room. Wa aqimus salah.